welcome to Santiago Short Film Festival. We're so grateful to have you here.
Thank
Please,
you.
Can you introduce yourself?
My name is Tobin Carter. I am the writer, director, and producer of both Real Mother and Alone Together.
Fantastic. Please, can you tell us a little bit about both of these films in terms of the plot?
Of course. Real Mother is a story about adoption. It's about an adoptee who meets his biological mother for the first time. And his whole life, people have been telling him that he needs to meet her because she's his real mother. And then he goes and meets her and he finds out that she's just a person and not even necessarily a person that can give him the catharsis he's looking for. And it was a really important story for me to tell. I'm adopted, so that was very much based on like a lot of real events that happened in my life, and I'm very proud of that film. And then the other film is completely, the other direction. It's a sci-fi, post-apocalyptic about a young man who's alone. Everyone else on Earth disappeared, and he's been, trapped on this abandoned planet for almost a year. And then finally, after a year of searching, he finds another human being, and he realizes that the relationship quickly becomes very toxic. And it's a question of, is it better to be alone or with someone who makes you miserable? So, yeah.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Thank
It's
you.
also just so wonderful that you have two completely different movies
Very different movies.
in the same film festival.
Yes.
It's very exciting.
I was so excited when they reached out to me. I submitted both thinking it'd be one or the other.
Right.
And then I got the message that said both of them were accepted, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. I never expected that. I feel very lucky and very fortunate.
Yeah, that's so lovely. Were there any challenges that you had to face during the filmmaking process?
Oh yeah. On the Alone Together one, we shot that one in Lake Tahoe, California.
Wow.
And we shot that one on no budget, but we had a player from the Oakland A's donate, he let us use his house for a week. And so we had this massive mansion in the middle of the woods, and it was so scary to be in there because he had his land house, not groundskeeper watching us. And so that was a little nerve-wracking. And then one of the actors actually booked he's in the new season of The Summer I Turned Pretty on Amazon.
Okay.
And he booked it while we were filming. So we had him scheduled for 4 days, and we had to shoot all of his scenes in a day and a half, which was very stressful. But
wow.
It definitely, he worked hard. He's an amazing actor, and it turned out really good. I'm very happy with that one. But yeah, both films had I think the normal challenges, but I had a really amazing team that helped guide us through it, and I'm very happy with how they both turned out.
Yes. Oh, can you tell us a little bit about what was the process like writing, for example, Real Mother, which is very personal to you, from the character's perspective, telling that story?
It was really rough. Not in the sense of I always knew exactly the story I wanted to tell, but I originally wrote it as a short story for a class at my community college. I went to Grossmont Community College.
Wow.
Shout out Grossmont. But I wrote that for a class there, and my professor was like, Tobin, you have to do something with this. I'm like, no. And then I was in a playwright class at UC Berkeley, and you could write either a short film or a short play, and I kind of did a little bit, it was both at the same time.
Yes.
And my professor, who is the phenomenal Bridget Dutta Portman, who has a whole trilogy of novels, she's incredible. She was reading it, and she's like, Tobin, you have to make something out of this. I'm like, I'm not going to. She's like, no, you will. And so then I sat with it, and it was just kind of overcoming how personal it was, I think. That I was I very much felt like I had my heart on my sleeve when I put it out there. But yeah, as soon as I kind of accepted that if it's that personal to me, hopefully it will connect to others, I made it. And I'm really glad I did. I've had a couple of people who are adopted who have watched it reach out to me and say how much the film meant to them, and that made it very worth it for me.
Yeah. I, from my personal point of view, wanted to say that it felt very meaningful, very inspiring, because for me, adoption story is something that is not, I can directly connect because I haven't had experienced that. But watching your movie and experiencing that and going through what the character's been going through, kind of really helped me out to understand what the person who has been put in that position is going through.
And
so,
thank you. That means so much. That's kind of what I was really hoping for. I wanted to make a film that people who are adopted can connect to it, but also people who aren't adopted can kind of have it can be kind of a space a neutral ground to start a conversation, as opposed to being purely for like an audience that's only people who are adopted. So
Yeah.
I wanted to like, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad it
Yeah,
connected.
and it truly translates. It
Thank
really
you.
reads. So thank you so much for
Thank you,
your
of
film.
course. Thank you.
I'm wondering, last question.
Last question, okay.
What's next for you?
Oh, golly. I've always wanted to go into TV.
Fantastic.
And so I'm writing a couple of scripts for a potential TV show that I'm hoping to, I'm reaching out to investors on. So if there's any investors out there that want to be part of a TV show, hit me up. But right now I'm doing a couple of other short films too for fun with a couple of friends of mine that I'm very excited about. They're in the post-production process right now where we're editing them, and I'm very excited. I'm very excited. Hopefully we'll be at a San Diego Short Film Festival again.
We would love to have you here. Your enthusiasm just translates, and your light shines
Thank you.
bright on this red carpet in the room. We're so excited to watch your movie in the cinema on the big screen, and thank you so much for coming
Thank you so much
here.
for this amazing interview. This is great. Thank you.
Thank you.